Hello and welcome. This is the part 2 of the AI-friendly design system series where I'll be covering the design to development in the shortest path possible, and also how we can keep iterating our design decisions after it has landed in code. And next I will be showing you how to create a new component from scratch and land it in code as well. And finally, I'll be showing you how to push past the foremost limitation that a lot of people have asked me for. But if you haven't watched part 1, make sure to click on the link in the video description down below because that is the prerequisite of this. In part 1, we've demonstrated the parametric approach versus the traditional exhaustive combinatorial approach to build components. And I've also showed how to visually manage your Figma variables with ease. With that out of the way, let's get started. So how do we push our design to development in the shortest possible path? Here's the plan. We're going to be pushing our Figma variables to code in JSON format. This JSON file stores all the variable relationships we have built in Figma, but nobody needs to read it. Its only purpose is to serve as the raw material for the resolver, that whatever you ask the resolver for, resolver gives you back the final value that is directly usable. I'll explain this in much greater detail, but first we need to set up our code project. So let's create a folder. And let's name this folder, for example, AI friendly demo. Then I'll drop this folder directly on top of cursor in my doc to open it. And if you don't know how to set up a project, just say what I said to the AI, it will help you with that. Create me the project using npx create react app -- yes. I was just kidding. You can use human language like set up the React project. Let's use Sonic for this because it's super fast. See how fast is that? And now your project is set up. So let's go into our project folder. And you see here the second step, we're going to just run npm start. And voila, you have your project set up. Next, we're going back to Figma to enable the MCP server. If you go to dev mode under the MCP server beta, press on this button, then you're done. That's all that you need. And let's go back to cursor. Search for cursor settings. That's right here, tools and integrations. Make sure that you have this Figma MCP. If you don't have it, then you can add, and this is all you need. So MCP servers here. You can find it in the Figma documentation if you don't have it. Let me actually do that. So you copy this code and then you go to cursor, you paste everything here in this JSON, and then you exit out of it, you will find that this is already enabled. Now let's go back to Figma one last time and grab everything we need, which is the JSON, the resolver, and the actual component we built. So open Variable Visualizer, we're going to export the full data, JSON, and also the resolver. Exit out of that. Let's find our button component. Command L to copy the link. Go back to cursor. We're going to first of all paste the link here. Expand the src folder, and we're going to put all of our downloaded files inside. Next, we're going to ask the AI to create the button for us. Can you create the button exactly as how I have it designed in Figma? And don't do any CSS. I want you to use the getVariableByName function from the resolver. And I want there to be a property called modes. So this mode is a key value pair object, and pass that object into the getVariableByName function as the second parameter. So when you're done, put this button in app.js so I can see. Now for the model, we're going to choose a much smarter model this time. Let's use Cloud 4.1 Opus. How about that? Let's try. Alright, let's see what is created for the button. I want you to pay attention to this part right on top. These are the exact variable bindings that we have in Figma. And in case you're wondering, how did 4.1 Opus able to get this information? Where did it get it from? Well, scroll up in the chat and expand the get code section. Then scroll down and you will find that this is what Figma is telling our AI. So Figma says these are the variables contained in the design: text-color, line-height, font size. Where is that? Text-color, line-height, font size, and padding horizontal, padding vertical, border radius, background color, right? Let's take a look. So this is actually one-to-one. If you pause the video, you will see that it's exactly one-to-one. And so this is the only thing you probably need to check if it is one-to-one to Figma. So we have the background color, the padding horizontal, vertical, and the border radius. Where is that? So here, look at the button, padding dash horizontal, padding dash vertical. Come on, show yourself. And we have the border dash radius. What else? We have the background dash color. So we also have the text dash color, font dash size, line height. Where is that? That's the inner layer. On this text, you see this is the font dash size, this is the line dash height, and this is the text dash color. All right, back in code we go. Fire it up, fire it up.
Fire.
There we go. You see the button is not exactly looking the same as in Figma. And that is because in our component, we have applied all of these custom modes. So if we remove all of these custom modes, that is exactly how it looks in code. And so if we want to make this appear large, we're going to have to go size, LG. And if we want to see a different color, we're going to go brand B. So how do we do that in code as well? So if you want this same behavior in code, we're going to go to app.js. Conveniently, we'll see that the modes is here for us to assign different values to it. Let's say size, LG, then brand A or B. I think it's B. Let's look at the result. So here is the results. That looks exactly the same as in Figma as well. So if we want to have the shape as rounded, then let's go into our code and say shape rounded, okay? And then let's look at the deployment, then it is exactly the same. Now the only thing left to do for this button is to give it interactive states, because now nothing happens when I hover or press on this button. But in Figma, we actually have this collection named interactive states. And if I choose hover and press, you can see it actually changed color that is different from idle. In cursor, let's start new chat. And here's what I'm going to tell it. Let's add interactivity to our button component. And here's how you're going to do it. First, you need to add event listeners. Then in these event listeners, you're going to override the modes object passed in. There's a key called interactive states. Pay super close attention to what values are supported, their respective names and letter casing. If you need to set React state, make sure you set it the correct way using previous values instead of directly setting it. I want you to spend the maximum effort in this. Now let's give it some context. Here's our button, and let's search for interactive states. This part, let's pass to the cursor so that it knows what we're talking about. Let's see what it's done to the button component. All right, so it looks like it's created a combined mode that pass our existing modes and combines it with the interactive states, which then get set based on the different mouse events. So if we mouse leave, it goes back to idle. If we mouse down, it goes to pressed, etc. So let's check the app.js. So it has added 3 different button variants for us. It has changed the existing one to intent primary and added a secondary intent as well. So there is also a disabled button in the end. So let's check it out. This is our primary, secondary, and the disabled. So let's hover, and hover works. So let's press work as well, I guess. It's just that we have similar colors. Let's check in Figma. It looks like our interactive states idle and pressed has similar colors. So for the purpose of this video, let's change that to be vastly different from each other. And I will use like a very dark color for the button primary pressed, and for the dark mode as well. So I will export this JSON. I'm going to drag into cursor to replace the existing one. then let's check it out. So now if we press, it becomes that very different color. So this is the entire iteration process. You want to change your design decision, push that to code, and you see the result changed. And absolutely nothing you need to do in code. Let's do it again to make sure you've captured the entire iteration process because of how short it is. Let's say in the beginning I want to add a new brand. I add a new brand and I want to generate some colors here. Let's say I want to use the teal color or something here, something like that. And let's have more steps. I want to take this, this, and this. Then I just push that to my code. And then let's say I want to duplicate a button to show that particular brand. That is the brand C. And let's look at the deployment. There it is. There is but one exception to this rule. That is, you can modify, add, or remove any of these collections, variables, or modes, or introduce new collections, whatever, without needing to touch the code. But when it comes to variable binding, these particular variables are bound to the code. So what I mean is that when I select this, you see that it is actually binding to the exact attribute. So this is the same binding we're using in code. So when you want to modify, remove, or add new bindings, then you will need to make sure that the code is synced. One very good example to demonstrate this is up until this point our button still doesn't have a border. Now let's add a border color. So let's call this the border color. And we will also need a stroke width. So now these two are, the stroke width, sorry, is gonna be a type number. These two are newly introduced variables and that are supposed to be bound to our button, right? And for this particular color, it's the same for the primary intent, but on the secondary intent, it's just gonna use the same as the text color. How about that? So let's just connect this to the border color. And now this name looks very bad, but it's worth to point out these names doesn't matter at all aside from the variables you're going to use to bind. Then we want to bind it to our button component, which is this one. And let's drag it on top here. We're going to say stroke width, it's this. And we're going to have the stroke color as this, right? And we're going to copy the link for our button again. And we're going to paste that to cursor. Let's also give it our updated JSON here. Just going to drag this to make sure it has the button context. I've added some new variables, that is the stroke width and the border color. Can you add them to the button, please? See these two new variable bindings that it has added? You want to make sure that it is exactly the same name as you see in Figma. Now let's check our production. So the secondary button is this one, and it does have a border, as you can see. Now it's just a little thin. I would like to make it a little thicker. I also don't like the fact that it just looks the same as the primary on hover. It's basically indiscernible. So now first of all, let's make the overall canvas background a little brighter and see. There is a black border on default. So when I hover, it turns to white. That doesn't look right. So let's fix that in Figma. And let's make this just our reference. So if we fix it, then this will be fixed as well, right? So let's change it to be intent secondary. There we go. And everything exactly as we see in code. But yeah, first let's make the border thicker. So right here 2, and then what happens? This is thicker right now. And let's also make the background a lot simpler. I want to make the background, which is the interactive secondary background. On hover, it is coming from here. So instead, let's make it come from here. And then the text itself, the text should be using the brand color. So how about let's just grab the brand color to this right here, and then this is no longer the primary BG, it's just primary. That's it. Yeah, that looks much better. So what happens on idle? It looks like that, and on hover it looks like that. I think actually 1.5 it's better. Stroke width. So let's export and see if we fix that in code as well. So it's gonna look much better. We're gonna have a feel for the real thing when we see it in production, right? So let's look at that. Oh, that is much better. I would actually like the background to be entirely white. So where is that? This is the background right here. It is the, okay, so default is coming from here, which is gray 50. Oh, we don't have a pure white, that's why. Okay, then let's just make it pure white. Oh, it is. Yeah, now it is pure white because I detached it. Let's see. Then it's gonna look much better. There we go. That's the secondary that I want. So now I know in the beginning of the video I said that after iterating design decisions, I will talk about creating new components, potentially reusing 90% of your existing variable structure without having to change everything. But this video is getting very long. I will put this to the next part. I'm gonna have to cross it out for now. And let's talk about some Q&A that I get from people. These are the two questions I'm gonna answer in today's video. First is somebody asked, can you show me the variables table when you're working in DV? I wanna see what is happening. So let's open a new file. Here we have Variable Visualizer. Here we have the table. And look, when we create a new collection is added here. When I rename it, the name change. When I add a new variable, you see variables popping up here. When I change value, values are changed. And this is what is happening in the variable table. When I make a mode, this is what happens. And so if I make a duplicate collection, there you will have two collections. And if I make aliasing, this is what you see when you're doing the aliasing, okay? So I think this answers your question. But last but not least, this works bidirectional. And if I change something here to say that this is now this orange color, you will see that in Variable Visualizer as well, these are updated. The primary objective of Variable Visualizer has always been that I want there to be a graphical interface to show me what's going on with my variables. And on every render cycle, the plugin just shows what's in your table. And when you make a change, that change is first made to the table, and then the plugin re-renders itself to show you what's now in the table. Everything here is native, it's just a shortcut. You can do absolutely everything that I can do right here in the table itself without ever needing to touch the plugin. Somebody prefers GUI, somebody prefers data tables and command lines, and that's perfectly fine. Second question I got asked a lot is, how can we push past the 4 modes limitation? Isn't that limiting the usage of variables in general? So if you're a pro like me and you don't have the access to enterprise accounts, then this method is for you. So it's called multiplexing on technical terms, but simpler terms is just called routering. So if we want to have more than 4 brands, we can name this the brands router. For your understanding, this names again doesn't matter. So let's say that this is the pack 1, this is the pack 2, and this is the pack 3. Next, we're gonna create each of these packs its own collection. So we're gonna delete this for now and create 3 collections. By the way, you see that once you delete a collection, you have ghost aliasings marked by these yellow question marks. So let's duplicate the collection and let's name it brand pack 1. In here, we're gonna have a lot of brands. So let's say brand A, B, C, and D. Okay, so each of these we're gonna have a different color to it. And this is a monkey job. Let's see if Yan can do that. Can you add me 3 other brand packs just like this one and make sure that each different brand has different color? So A has different color to B, B has different color to C, C has different color to D. By the way, in my brand pack 1, also changed the color for the brand C and brand D. Alright, so let's see what it did. It created 3 different packs. Wow, that is even better than what I thought. So let's accept, and let's grab these. We're gonna space them vertically to make sure that we have better alignments. So let's do that. And yeah, now we have 4. Unfortunately, we just have spots for 3, so one of them have to be gone, I think. Let's do this. Now for pack 2, we're gonna go to pack 2. And you see for the pack 3, we're gonna go here. Let's actually include the pack 4, how about that? So let's create a mode called pack 4. So that we have 16 different brands, which is crazy. And that's quite a lot. So there we go, that's done. That's a lot of colors. Yeah, let's test it out. So where is our button? Here. Now, this is currently using the pack 2. So let's grab the pack 2 and see if we can change color from pack 2. Remember these colors, right? Green, orange, red, and purple. What do we have in pack 1? So in pack 1, we have blue, purple, red, and light green. So what do we have in pack 3? In pack 3, we have, let's see, orange, blue, green, and like pink. They all have different colors, right? Pack 4, we have these, yeah, it's a lot, like purple, teal, and orange, and red. So yeah, the colors you can, yeah, you can think about the colors. I am not too picky on those, but they all look different. If you compare them side by side, let's do this. They are actually very different. Let's say that I can just okay, like that. You see the colors are all different from brand to brand, and in this way I have just built 14 brands. You do another level of routing that gives you 64 instead of 16. And it's worth pointing out that this method is very well known by Figma, and the fact that this approach is used by so many Figma users is also known by Figma. If you sign up for Enterprise, you will get 40 mode limitation instead of 4. But companies like Salesforce has 120 brands, so they implement the same routing you see here. So this is an open secret to the Figma community, and since it's just aliasing, Figma can't do anything about it. And finally, let's end the video by implementing this to code. So I'm going to do one final export. Let's drop that into cursor. There we go. And what we need to do is we need to tell our app.js. Let's use the, what are we calling it? So these are the branch router. Let's copy that, paste it here. Value is gonna be, let's use pack 1. Yeah, let's pick the C for the pink color. So it's gonna be pack 1, and then this is gonna be like, I think brand C. Is that brand pack 1? So brand pack, and then yeah, brand pack 1. So this is gonna be the color of that, and let's make this right here. Instead of that, let's do something like this. So what are we gonna use for this? Let's take brand C from pack 3, this light green, shall we? So it's gonna be from pack 3, and this is the brand C. So let's check out the result. There goes our pink brand and the light green brand, complete with interactions. Think about what level of design to dev alignment is this. And these collection names are just for your understanding. you can easily name them by vertical. So instead of pack 1, pack 2, you can say e-commerce brands, finance brands, healthcare brands, or not by vertical, but by audience, consumer brands, enterprise, and SMB brands, or by function, say retail brands, service brands, platform brands, product brands, etc. It's been Mr. Biscuit, and let me know what you want me to talk about next. And feel free to absolutely just drop all the questions that you have, and I am willing to answer them all. And that's gonna be it, guys. Have a good one. Bye bye.